Hey everybody, welcome back to the Inner Circle. It's finally happening. Mortal Kombat 2021 has released on HBO Max. We saw it in theaters. Now you get to hear our thoughts. Clayton, start us off. What did you think?
Mortal Kombat was a fun movie. Anyone on Twitter who says it's not are just like very sad people who don't like fun. It's a fun action movie. People get cut in half. The plot doesn't suck. The characters are fun. Kano, highlight of the movie.
Kano's the perfect Kano.
I just want to make sure that's my very first statement. Don't listen to Twitter trying to say, oh, it's a crappy movie. They failed again. They did not fail again. At worst, it's average. But like, it's a Mortal Kombat movie, man.
Yeah.
I saw some good fights. It was shot well. The visual effects, almost the entire... There was like one scene that was weird. But like the entire time, visual effects were good. Like it wasn't terrible. The OC, the new character, Cole, I thought he was fine. I don't know what you think about him.
We'll get into what I think in a minute.
But yeah, just overall, it was a fun movie.
You know, I was hyped for this movie, and I'm glad we saw it in a theater. I'm glad I saw it with friends, because I will second your opinion that it was a fun movie. It is a fun movie. It takes itself a lot more seriously than the original Mortal Kombat movie does. But the thing is, at the end of the day, they're both Mortal Kombat movies, and they understand what makes Mortal Kombat, and it's the characters and the fights.
I think this movie understood it even more, because the story taking itself seriously is what helped this so much compared to the original one, where it was like a self-parody, and that does not feel right for Mortal Kombat. It makes a funny movie to laugh at.
Right.
But it doesn't feel like Mortal Kombat. This movie felt like I was watching Mortal Kombat from the opening with Scorpion's backstory, and just like immediately, like it's a self-serious story and still has all the like wacky action and blood and gore everywhere, and they just treat it like, yep, that's our world. You did in fact throw a knife straight through that man's heart and blood exploded all over the room.
This is very much a Mortal Kombat movie for modern audiences, whereas like the original is so ingrained in, 90s, that world of like 90s preteens.
Yeah,
if you want 90s cheese, that movie's still a fun time.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for something more serious, like you said, this is the version to go with. I was very pleased with how they portrayed Scorpion and Sub-Zero, my two favorite characters in the movie, two favorite characters in the game.
Scorpion and Sub-Zero were finally done like true justice, true to their characters and their backstories, and even with, because this is all spoilers, even with the lore changes of making the new OC Cole like a descendant of Scorpion, even with that change, they still stayed true to the character and to his rivalry with Sub-Zero, which was paid off beautifully, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. But this is kind of where I want to get into the things that I didn't like. And honestly, for the most part, these things that I don't like are pure 100% nitpicks. This is a fan service movie, and if you're a fan, you're gonna appreciate the stuff that they bring to this table here. But also as a fan, they do take liberties with the lore, and some of those changes feel very unnecessary. Like the whole, like having the birthmark.
Oh, okay. You had a problem with that.
Yeah.
I felt like for the movie, just adding tension. I didn't have an issue with them adding like, to participate in Mortal Kombat, you must have like the mark of the dragon, and it was just like the logo. I thought that was whatever.
I mean, I can see how people are like, yeah, okay, it's a narrative device to get the audience on board,
yeah,
and it works. But for me, it's just Mortal Kombat has always been about characters with special powers that participate in a tournament. And it felt just unnecessary that you had to say that these people are all chosen.
Yeah.
I think it works better if they're just people that get invited to the tournament.
So how did you feel about the tournament never happening in this movie?
It was an interesting choice. It doesn't bother me as much as it might bother some other people, because I want this movie to get sequels.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if they build up to the tournament, it could be really cool. I do not like how they just killed Kung Lao so quickly in this movie.
The point of Kung Lao is to die to give Liu Kang more motivation.
Right, but I don't think he needed to die in the first movie.
Well, okay, that's the thing. A lot of big, like, pretty much all the classic Mortal Kombat characters do die in this first movie. And, I don't know, if they make sequels, I don't know if they would use, like, the legacy characters that have been introduced in the more recent games, or if they're just going to be like, it's Mortal Kombat, just revive them, who cares, like...
I mean, they'll probably end up doing that, and I'm pretty sure they'll end up doing that at the very least with Sub-Zero, because this is beyond Sub-Zero. And for those of you that follow the lore, you know that he becomes Noob Saibot, like the Shadow Ninja. So that'd be cool if they brought him back in a sequel, but moving on. Some more things I wasn't really a fan of. I really think that Liu Kang and Kung Lao are underutilized. While they are true to their characters, they get kind of swept to the side in favor of Cole Young. And Cole Young, while his power set is cool, and while I think he's an interesting new addition to the universe, they just don't really develop him enough.
He's a very basic character, like, very flat archetype.
He's kind of Wonder Bread. Yeah, there are birds that live outside my apartment. You'll have to excuse them.
Oh my god, that's what that is?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of birds, there's this bird lady in Mortal Kombat in the movie, right?
Which is a deep cut into the lore for those of you that have played Mortal Kombat Armageddon.
A very deep cut. And so we're going to talk about Bird Lady while birds are chirping. I think she had maybe the best death in the movie.
Oh yeah, Kung Lao's fatality, that was amazing.
Kung Lao's razor hack splitting this woman, this bird lady, straight in half on screen. They do not hide it. They just went full, like, Mortal Kombat with it.
And then he, like, does his little hat thing, and he's like, flawless victory.
That's another thing. The fan service in this movie it's very fan service-y, but because...
In the best ways.
Because the movie doesn't... It takes itself seriously, but it's not, like, a dark, grim, like, it wants us to take it super seriously type of movie. Mm-hmm. So I think the fan service really works, because it's peppered out in just, like, little lines here and there, or, like, little music cues here and there throughout the film, and it really, like, it just makes it fun. Like, it makes it fun, and it never, like, interrupts the story or any, like, character moments.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Speaking of moments, what would you say is your favorite moment from the film? Okay,
not even my favorite, the best moment, just flat out best moment from this movie is the end fight. Sub-Zero's beating up Cole, and Cole's like, he's trying, but, like, it's Sub-Zero. Cole's like a little baby compared to him.
Yeah.
And there's this moment, like, Cole takes a bad hit, and, like, he's down, shots on him. He looks up, and it's like reverse shot of Sub-Zero, and then the classic Mortal Kombat theme hits for, like,
the perfect moment.
The classic theme, like the opening notes of it hit, and then Scorpion shows up and just wrecks. He says his catchphrase.
Get over here!
And then just starts wrecking Sub-Zero. That might have been the single best moment of the movie.
I agree, 100%. That is also my favorite moment.
Like, and even if I was gonna say, like, a favorite fight, it would probably be the end fight where it's Cole and Scorpion tag teaming Sub-Zero.
And the choreography with these fights in this movie is, like, next level.
It's really well done. There's only, like, one fight where it's a little weird.
It's mainly due to the editing, right?
Well, which fight are you thinking of?
Because I'm thinking of the first fight with like all the characters together, where like Sonya's fighting Melina and
At the
and
temple.
whatnot. At the temple, yeah.
Yes, they tried to juggle like a big group fight where they all branch off as one big action scene, and it was a little weird because we would see like the Liu Kang fight go on for a bit, and then we would just disappear, go like Kung Lao. We'd see his entire fight is just one big sequence, and then cut back to like Sonya, and I'm like, oh yeah, she was doing that over there.
Yeah.
It was a little awkward, but
Some more underutilized characters, speaking of,
mm,
the villains. Melina, General Raiko, I think his name was, and then Goro, surprisingly. Very underutilized.
all of the villains, all of these classic Mortal Kombat villains are in this movie to be used as henchmen for
Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung
Yeah.
to command to go attack our heroes, who all are either developed pretty well or characterized well enough to where it's like, yes, that's that character I know, or if you're new, like, oh, that's who this guy is, this is his personality. It's a little weird how the villains are very flat while our heroes got the development.
Right. But since there's like so many characters that you want to juggle in,
Yeah.
it was a wise choice to focus on the heroes, I think, at the end of the day.
And Kano,
Kano's golden.
Kano being like the comic relief of the movie, has some really great jokes. They wrote some good lines for him that really like sell his character, but he also gets the villain flip halfway through. So he's really like our one villain that has true development.
Yeah,
With the him and Sonya rivalry, and I felt like that was well done.
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really think Sonya's arc was all that good. Like, I feel like they could have done more with her. Her whole arc is basically summed up. She's jealous that Kano has the mark and she doesn't, because that means she doesn't qualify for the tournament.
Yeah.
And I found that to be very extremely weak motivation for Sonya, because she's supposed to be this badass, independent character. Making her arc based around jealousy, I think, kind of brings her down.
I can see that. I didn't really think of it in that way, because I mean, I was watching this just expecting just pure action movies, so like my standards are a little bit lowered from normal.
Yeah, I'll forgive it. But...
Yeah, so in that way, I was like, okay, yeah, like she wants the mark, you know, and eventually she will get the mark by having a great fight, and she did. Her fight was great. Having traps and sneaking around and hiding was an interesting way of doing it.
Agreed.
After having everyone else's fights literally be, let's punch each other to death.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, nitpicks. And like also how they have to go to the temple, be chosen with this birthmark, and only the people who are chosen get to develop superpowers. I don't really jive with that, because traditionally, like I said before, the characters in Mortal Kombat are just random people. It's okay for them to have random abilities. They don't have to develop superpowers because they were chosen for the tournament.
But this is a movie.
So, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't bother me. I'm sure it'll bother other fans to an extent where it, like, might make this film hard for them to enjoy, but it didn't detract from my enjoyment of it.
Yeah, that's what, like, for me, the slight lore changes were fine, because they service the structure of a film better than a video game, where Mortal Kombat's story has always been presented very sloppily. I don't care what anyone tries to tell me. It's true. It is, yeah.
And this is probably the best video game movie that we've gotten.
I think so. I think this is the best video game movie I've seen. My friend Eric tries to claim Sonic the Hedgehog is. He's wrong. It's Mortal Kombat.
I thought Detective Pikachu was pretty good.
That's a different discussion.
That'll be a different day.
Different discussion. But the movie's it's shot very well.
Yeah.
They're like the lighting, cinematography, great. Like it looks good. It looks like a good movie.
Like costume design's on point.
Yeah, costume design is near perfect for a lot of the characters. They look ripped straight out of the game, and that's also down to casting choices. They got people who are pretty good actors that look dead on exactly like their video game counterparts.
The guy who plays Jax.
It is scary.
Yeah, and then also like getting Joe Taslim from The Raid to play Sub-Zero, and then I feel like I'm gonna butcher his name, so I'm not gonna say it, but prolific Japanese actor. I remember him fondly from films like 47 Ronin with Keanu Reeves. But he plays Scorpion, and he kills it as Scorpion.
Yeah, like the casting is great. The movie's shot great. The story is serviceable to get us to the gory fights, which is the whole reason anyone is interested in Mortal Kombat. So it does its job. And I just felt overall like it's a fun time. It's a fun time. I saw Goro's get disemboweled. Goro got disemboweled, and that's a thumbs up for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Scorpion did his fatality. I was satisfied with that.
Yeah, we got all the moments you would want to see.
Now, how do you feel about that sequel tease, though, with Johnny Cage?
Johnny Cage should have been in this movie, so if they make a sequel, Johnny Cage better be, like, the co-lead, because I don't like how they excluded him. He could have been a side character. I would have been fine with it.
Who would you cast as Johnny Cage?
Zac Efron.
Zac Efron?
Zac Efron.
That's a pretty good choice. I would probably go Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan, too basic of a pick.
But, like, come on.
That's too
Ryan Reynolds is Johnny Cage.
It's too predictable. Life. Ryan Reynolds plays Ryan Reynolds and everything.
But he's perfect for Johnny Cage. Like I said, he is Johnny Cage in real life. Kind of like how George Clooney is a real life Bruce Wayne. That's not true at all. Don't quote me on that. Right, so I had a good time with it. You had a good time with it. Yeah. What would you say your final rating is?
Mortal Kombat is okay. It's good. It's like somewhere between a 6.5 and a 7 out of 10. Because it's like a competently made movie that hits fan service beats I would want a Mortal Kombat movie to hit, and it does them in ways that are mostly not cringe and really fun. And that's like the main thing I wanted was a fun movie that's well made, and that's what I got. 7 out of 10. I'll give it.
Yeah, I'd probably rate it along the same line. I want to say 7 out of 10. Hey, buddy. It's my cat, Lion-O. But if I'm being honest with myself, I'd probably give it a 6.8. That, like, 0.2 difference probably comes from my little nitpicks. But still, solid movie. I recommend you watch it.
Go watch Mortal Kombat.
Cue the theme song.